An LAPD officer must try to save a bus full of people when he learns that bus has a bomb on it that will explode if the bus drops under 50 miles an hour. The premise of this movie is insane. How can a bus stay above 50 miles an hour in Los Angeles with the traffic that city is known for? So right off the bat, you just have to throw any logic out the window and enjoy the insane ride. Speed was the first VHS movie that I ever owned, and I watched it a lot in the 1990s. It's probably been 20 years since I'd seen it, and I was very surprised to find out the bus is just one of 3 major suspenseful action sets in the movie. Speed opens with a long credit sequence as the camera slowly pans down an elevator shaft. Now during this way too long opening, we hear the score, and it is killer. It reminded me a little bit of the Terminator score, and it may be one of my favorite action movie scores ever. Not too much later, we are introduced to our lead character, Jack Travern, played by Keanu Reeves. The first scene that we see him in is so unexpected, both me and my wife burst out laughing when it happened. We just see an empty city street and then a police car come flying into frame several feet off the ground and in slow motion. It lands, Reeves gets out of the car with his partner, played by Jeff Daniels. Neither mention this insane jump that just happened, and Reeves is calm and collected and just chewing on his gum. It's a perfect way to introduce the audience to the character. He's a live wire, a thrill seeker, but he's also able to remain calm under pressure. All of these things are going to be very important with what he gets put through in this movie. After the plot set up and the first interaction between Jack Travern and the terrorist, we are introduced to our heroine, Annie, played by Sandra Bullock. We see her running to catch the bus. She seems to be struggling and frazzled. She catches the bus. The bus driver makes her put out her cigarette before she gets on the bus. The character never smokes or mentions smoking again, which makes me wonder why she was smoking in the first place. It is so strange how smoking is perceived now versus how it was 30 years ago. Now, after Annie gets on the bus, she encounters an annoying tourist played by Alan Ruck, who at the time was most well known for being Ferris Bueller's best friend Cameron. Annie clearly doesn't want to sit by him and thinks of a way that she can move seats without hurting his feelings. In just 2 minutes time, we go from thinking she's a frazzled mess to being a resourceful problem solver. And guess what? That's going to come in handy later as well. Most of the movie is just a cat and mouse game between Keanu Reeves' police officer and the bomber played by Dennis Hopper. Now Hopper is great. His catchphrase is "Pop quiz, hot shot." Now this isn't the type of movie where plot matters. This is a pure action film. Director Jan de Bont is one of 17 kids. That has nothing to do with Speed. I just find that impressive. He only directed 5 movies, with the only 2 of note being Speed and Twister. He was more known as a cinematographer, and it shows. Each shot in Speed is beautiful. Even when the action is frantic, you never lose sight of what's happening. The cinematography just adds so much to the action and excitement. Because Speed is a movie with a bomb, we know there's going to be tension. What I didn't expect is that tension begins in the very first scene and steadily builds throughout the entire movie. The acting is mostly pretty good. Even Keanu works well in his role, and he's not really known for his great acting chops in his early career. And the action is so fun, you won't even care about all the nonsense that's going on. Every time the bus would narrowly miss dropping below 50 miles an hour or having to overcome some obstacle, for example, a 50-foot section of the highway that they're on just not being there, the bus goers would always cheer as if they were safe and they'd escaped danger, even though the bomb is still on the bus and they are still in grave danger and could die at any moment. While we don't really get a lot of character development for our passengers, we get enough. Each has a unique personality and gets a couple of good lines or a scene that pushes the plot of the movie forward. For me, the most absurd thing in the entire movie was said by Alan Ruck's tourist character. He's been on this bus seconds away from dying for 2 hours. The bus ends up at the airport and he looks out the window and says, "Why are we at the airport? I've already seen the airport." It's like, dude, you were on a bus with a bomb and you're upset that you're at the airport which you've already been to that day? Get over it. Now, Speed has held up exceptionally well. The fact that they are really on a real bus and that bus is really driving on streets adds so much to the film. If it was made today, that bus would be on a backlot somewhere with a green screen. Because Speed was on a real bus, that means there were a lot of real stunts and real explosions. And that's just something you don't get a lot of today. Speed is action-packed as movies get. It is stupid and fun, but it's suspenseful, and seeing Keanu Reeves in one of his first roles that really made him an action star, and seeing Sandra Bullock take the lead and become a huge star in this were a lot of fun. Speed is in the running for one of my favorite action movies of all time. Bombs, driving on 2 wheels, jumping between moving vehicles, learning to drive a bus under extreme pressure, lots of explosions, walking away from an explosion.